Okay, so this is part 2 of our insurance unit, and we talked about risk in unit 1, and we began with the renter's insurance and homeowner's insurance. Now we're going to break down other types of insurance, starting with automobile insurance. Automobile insurance is something that you want to pay monthly for. You pay a monthly premium, just like every other type of insurance. And it covers the cost of damage to the vehicle, its owner, and any passengers. The cost of repairs to other vehicles, medical expenses of other passengers in that car, and property damage caused by an accident. So depending on what type or how many different versions in that package you get, you could be fully covered for anything that would happen with or because of your car. Standard policies also cover theft of the vehicle and or anything inside the vehicle. So it's important to read your actual policy when you're done setting it up to make sure you know exactly what's covered. Automobile insurance, like all other insurances, like I said, are based on premiums. And premiums, for the most part, are paid monthly, but there are some circumstances where you can pay for the entire year in one check. When you are getting your automobile, your car, covered through insurance, the insurance company asks a bunch of questions because they base your price on your answers. So, some of the things they want to know about is what model, style, and how old is the car that you're trying to get insurance for. So, if it's a sports car, it's going to be more expensive for you to get insurance for because if sports cars break, they're more expensive to fix. They ask about driver classification, and depending on your state or type of vehicle, that's how they determine the classification. So if you're going to be a truck driver, you'd be a different classification. They ask you about the location of the driver and the car, meaning, are you parked in a parking garage? Do you have your own garage and you're in a residential neighborhood? Are you parking it on the street because you live in a city area? All of that comes into play because now they think, okay, if you live in a city and you're parking on the street, there's more chances of it getting hit if somebody's driving by. There's more chances of it getting robbed or broken into. That's more chances of it costing more money for us, the insurance company. So we're going to charge you, the insured, more money per month. They ask about the distance you drive every day. The more you're on the road, the more chances you have of getting into an accident. So for me, I drive 25 miles a day and I'm mostly on highway. So I have much more chance of things happening. Purpose of driving is the next thing that they talk about. And they're asking you, are you driving for work? Like, are you delivering pizzas? Or are you working for a company that you have to do a lot of driving from location to location? Or is your driver's license and insurance just needed for leisure? Meaning you're just going to drive it on the weekends, or you have a short distance to get to work and then you park it and leave it there. And then lastly, age, sex, and marital status of the drivers. Believe it or not, it is more expensive for males to get insurance than females. And it's more expensive all around for you to get insurance until you're around 28 years old. The statistics say that drivers under the age of 28 are a little bit more reckless and more likely to get into accidents, and men more than women especially. They want to know about marital status because there's an assumption that if you are married, you will be a little bit more careful when you drive because you are considering another person either in the car or in your life, as opposed to a single person who might not have that much concern for others. All of those factors help the insurance company determine how much they want you to pay each month for insurance. Your driving record includes the number and type of traffic tickets you've received, along with the number of accidents in which you've been involved. So if you have had many tickets or you've been in a bunch of accidents, remember your VIN number, which is that number that's carved into your car. That VIN number gets recorded every time you get into an accident. And so that's something that the insurance company can look up as soon as you call them and tell them you want an insurance plan. So there's really no hiding your driving record. If you're in an accident that is your fault and your insurance company has to pay to help you, your monthly amount is now going to go up because now you have become a bigger risk to the insurance company. There are 5 basic types of automobile insurance, which we will go over in the next 5 slides. Number 1 is liability coverage. Whenever you see the word liability, whether it's homeowner's insurance or car insurance, liability is coverage against the other person. So liability coverage protects the insured, which would be you, against claims for bodily injury to someone else or damage to another person's property. So if you had maybe hit someone else's car, the liability coverage, that part of your insurance, is what kicks in and pays for the other person's car or the other person's medical bills. It's described in a series of numbers. So for example, you could get liability coverage as 100, 350 or 200, 570, but this is what these 3 numbers mean. That if there is an injury to one other person, not to yourself, but to someone else, it's $100,000 coverage. If there's 10 people in the car, the top amount that they will pay is $300,000. So those 10 people have to split $300,000 for their medical bills. And up to $50,000 in property damage. Up to means that's the cap. They won't pay any more than $100,000 for one person. They won't pay any more than $300,000 for all people, and they won't pay any more than $50,000 for property damage. Most states require drivers to carry liability insurance. New Jersey is one of them. Number 2, collision coverage. Collision coverage is an automobile insurance that protects your car against damage from accidents or vehicles overturning, meaning vehicles flipping over. It pays for the damage to your car in the event that you are at fault and the other driver's liability insurance does not have to pay. So, liability insurance covers someone else. Collision insurance covers you, mostly if it's your fault. Now, if you got into a big accident that wasn't your fault, your coverage or your payments would be paid for by the other person's liability insurance because it would be their job to pay for you. If it's your job to pay for you, it would be collision coverage. It pays, but of course, it also has a deductible. So you would probably have to pay whatever your deductible is up front before the insurance company is taking in money. The third type is comprehensive coverage, which protects you from damage to your car from causes other than collision or a vehicle overturning. So things like fire, theft, tornadoes, hail, water, falling objects, natural disasters, and acts of vandalism are all covered under comprehensive coverage. Number 4 is called PIP, or personal injury protection, and this is the medical coverage part of your automobile insurance that covers things like medical bills, hospital, and funeral costs of the insured, meaning you on your plan, or you, your family, and your passengers. So if the insured is insured and you're injured as a pedestrian or a bicyclist, this insurance will pay your medical costs. And having a car with airbags, anti-lock brakes, and other safety features actually brings the cost of this down. So again, if I'm buying car insurance, I'm saying, yes, I want liability insurance, I want collision insurance, and I want PIP. So I'm picking just 3. That means that of those 3, each one will have an additional cost. Altogether, they determine what my premium will be. Lastly, there's a type of coverage that you can choose not to have. It's called uninsured, underinsured coverage. And this pays for your injuries when the other driver is responsible for the accident but unable to pay. If, say, the person in the other car has no insurance, or maybe insurance that only pays a little bit, then your insurance of uninsured, underinsured would cover it. Unfortunately, people choose not to get this because they trust that other drivers will have full coverage. And then if they get into an accident, they really are stuck paying the rest of their bill when they find out that the other driver has low insurance coverage. Lastly, we're going to talk about health insurance. Now, with health insurance, this is the one type of insurance that you pay in a group. So other forms of insurance, like automobile insurance or homeowners insurance, you buy individually. So you buy for your car, you buy for your house. This is a plan for sharing the risk of high medical costs, and it's spread among many people. The most common type of health insurance is group insurance. And in group insurance, all those insured have the same coverage and pay the same set premium. So, for example, in South Brunswick High School, all the teachers pick from the same plans, and everybody that's like me, or anybody that's like another teacher who has 4 kids. So as a single person, I pay a single plan, and all the single people pay the same amount and get the same coverage. And say another teacher who has a husband or a wife and 2 children, they pay for a package of 4, and everyone else that pays for a package of 4 gets the same plan for the same price. Some employers pay the premiums as a benefit to their employees. So every month they pay to cover everybody that works for them. But more commonly, you and your employer will share the premium cost, meaning I pay some per month and South Brunswick pays some per month. COBRA is another type of group policy. COBRA is short for Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. It's a whole mouthful, that's why they cut it down to COBRA. This is a law that allows you to leave your employment if you want to, whether you get fired or quit, but still continue to have the same health care plan just for a limited amount of time, usually 18 months. You're still going to pay for it in full, but at least your doctors will stay the same, the hospital that you use will stay the same, and all of the plan will stay the same. It's not cheap, it's very expensive, and that's why they recommend that you don't stay unemployed or uninsured for too long. There are individual policies that you can opt into if you didn't want to do your group insurance plan, but they are more expensive, they have higher premiums. You have to do a physical exam first, so that determines what type of plan you should get. You don't necessarily get to pick. If you do a physical exam and they find out you're very out of shape, they might make you get a higher plan because you're a higher risk. And you are put in a high risk health insurance pool, which means that you tend to have to pay for more things. Other types of coverage that doesn't come direct with your medical but can be added to the package is dental and vision insurance. Dental insurance covers dental services like cleanings and x-rays, and if you need a filling for a cavity. And vision insurance often pays for exams, eye disease, prescriptions, and things like that. And it's usually broken down for you with an 80-20 split. So the insurance company will pay for 80% of your visit and you pay the other 20. So now if I just go to get my eyes checked, I might have say a $200 visit. That means that the insurance company pays 80% of that and I only pay 20. But if I went to the dentist and had to have my fillings redone, or I had to have a root canal or some sort of procedure and it ended up being $2,000, I'm paying a lot more. Even though it's still only 20%, the overall bill is more, so I'll be paying more. So it's 80-20, but if the bill is very high, your 20 is still going to be a lot of money. The types of health insurance that you can look into when you do get employed, they have something called an HMO, which is a health maintenance organization, and this is a group plan that has prepaid medical care. So the actual care itself has been paid for in advance through your insurance, and you just go and maybe pay a little fee and that's done. There's something called a PPO, a preferred provider organization. This is a group of providers who band together to provide health services for a set fee. So I might spend a certain amount of money and go to all of the doctors for Robert Wood Johnson. So my foot care, my chiropractor, my regular doctor, my dentist, they're all under the same company. So I still pay just a set fee, but I have to go to those specific doctors. POS, which stands for point of service, is a plan that gives people a lot more choices, so they have both. You can both go to that set group of doctors through whatever organization and pay the fee, or you can go to a group of any other doctors you would like and the fee gets a little changed. So it's really up to you as to which of those plans works best for your group. Medicare and Medicaid are two other types of health insurance. Medicare is a government-sponsored health insurance for people 65 or older, so you definitely would want to become familiar with what Medicare covers if you were around the time of retirement. And Medicaid is government-sponsored health insurance for people with low income and limited resources. So people with serious medical or mental disabilities who wouldn't be able to work for whatever reason would use Medicaid to cover their health costs. Lastly, there's something called disability insurance, and this is an insurance plan that makes regular payments to replace income if you can't work because you are sick or injured because of something on the job. So if you fell and broke your arm and you couldn't go to work, the disability insurance would kick in and you would be able to still get some part of your paycheck for a little while because you wouldn't be able to go to work and get your full paycheck. And that's the last type. So there are a lot of terms in this particular section that I do in fact want you to go back and write down. But the important part is that you understand all of these very big kid terms, very adult terms, and you want to know about them so that when you sit down with your employers and they offer you types of insurance, or when you go and finally get your car at the dealership and they talk about insurance, you understand what they're asking you. This way you can't be scammed and confused. So disability insurance is 1, Medicare and Medicaid 2 and 3, HMO is 4, PPO is 5. Don't worry about POS. Group insurance is 6 and COBRA is 7. Health insurance is 8. Uninsured, underinsured 9. PIP is 10. Comprehensive coverage 11. Collision coverage 12. We've talked about liability, but you should still do liability coverage as 13. Driving record as 14, and you are done.